Good afternoon, everybody. Um, Welcome to my Form 4 class. Could you let me know if you all are hearing me? Thanks. And seeing the board. Alright, so like I said, good afternoon, everybody. So this is my Form 4 maths class. So I notice we have some students, right? So this is just a sample of my classroom. So some of you all are here just to view what my classroom is like, okay? So some of you all saying you're not seeing the whiteboard. Now the thing is, I'm streaming in HD here. One second. All right, so hopefully you all are seeing this. So I'm continuing from where we started last week with functions with my class. All right. There are a few more things that I needed to show you all. So let's not waste any more time. I'm gonna start. Alright, so last week we started looking at functions, right? We looked at various types of mappings and we looked at simple functions, we looked at composite functions. So today I wanted to look at finding the inverse of a particular type of function, alright? So let's look at this question here. So we have two functions, f of x and g of x, and they are defined as follows. So f of x is equal to 2x plus 3 over x minus 1. That's this function. And then we have g of x equal to 5x plus 2, right? And I have a few questions here concerning these functions. So the first one, we want to find f of 3, right? Now, like I showed you all last week, if you want to find f of 3, all we need to do is to substitute 3 into this equation here. So therefore, one second. So all we're going to do, we're going to substitute x equal 3 into that function. So it's going to be 2 multiplied by 3 plus 3 all over 3 minus 1, right? Which is equal to 6 plus 3 over 2, which is 9 over 2. And we can leave our answer like this, right? So this is f of 3. Now, the thing that I want to show you all here has to do with part B and part C, right? This part here. This part poses a problem to many students. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that on a new page for you all. One second. So this is my function here, f of x. And the question is asking for us to find the inverse of the function, which is written as this. Now, just like we did last week, there are some steps that we need to follow in order to find the inverse of a function, right? My first step, we said last week, was to let y equal to 2x plus 3 all over x minus 1. That's my first step, right? The second step like I said last week, was to interchange x and y. So we're going to interchange x and y, right? Now what that means is that anywhere I see x, I'm going to put y, and anywhere I see y, I'm going to put x. So therefore the expression is going to become x is equal to 2y plus 3 all over y minus 1. Now, when we have a question like this, we are going to have to use factorizing at some point. So after we interchange x and y, the next step is to make y the subject of the formula, right? So my next step was to make y the subject of the formula. Right? So we want to make y the subject of the formula. So let's move across here and let me show you what I'm doing. So we have x over, we can write that as x over 1 is equal to 2y plus 3 all over y minus 1. Alright? So I haven't really done anything with the equation. All I've done is taken the x and written it as x over 1. That's all I've done, right? So my next step now is to cross multiply. So I'm going to say this multiplied by this is equal to this multiplied by this, all right? So when I cross multiply, I'm going to get x multiplied by y minus 1 is equal to 2y plus 3. So that's how we cross multiply. Now, next thing I need to do, I need to remove these brackets here using the distributive law. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say x multiplied by y. This will give me x, y. And then x by minus 1 will give me minus x, which is equal to 2y plus 3. Right? Now, keep in mind what we're trying to do. We are trying to make y the subject of the formula. So what I need to do is to bring every term that has a y in it on the left hand side. So this will be xy minus 2y is equal to 3 plus x. Right? Now, look at something carefully. I have xy and we have 2y. What I can do, I can factorize that. I can pull out y, and this will become x minus 2 is equal to 3 plus x. So now I can make y the subject of the formula. So y is equal to 3 plus x all over x minus 2. And then our last step, since we made y the subject of the formula, we need to say f inverse is equal to 3 plus x over x minus 2. So this is how we find the inverse of a function that looks like this, right? It's one of the hardest inverses you will have to find. So I will do a next example to make sure you get this, right? The steps are very similar, right? The steps are very similar, so please make sure you know these steps. So the first step was, this was step 1. This was to let y equal to the function. Next thing was to interchange x and y. And my third step was to make y the subject of the formula. And the final step is to write my answer for the inverse. Alright? Alright, so what I've just worked out, I've worked out part B for you all here. Now, let's look at part C now. Now, part C, they want us to find the value of x for which the function f of x is undefined. Right? Now, when you see a question like this, where they say f of x is undefined, right, there's something they're looking for. Now, let me ask you all something. If I have, look at this here, 0 divided by a number, can somebody tell me what the answer is? In the chat, 0 divided by a number, what is the answer? Alright, so I'm seeing everybody saying 0. That is correct. So 0 divided by any number is equal to 0. However, if I have something like this, n divided by 0, what is the answer for that? Alright, so I'm seeing different answers. I'm seeing 0, I'm seeing n. So let me tell you one time. So n divided by 0, we cannot work that out, right? It is undefined. Right? That's something you need to know. So a number divided by 0 is undefined. So let's go back to the question. The question is asking, what is the value of x for which the function f of x is undefined? So let me just take a snapshot of this here. Hold on. Copy. So this is the function they've given us, right? And I'm asking you the value of x for which the function is undefined. So I just told you that any number divided by 0 is undefined, right? That's what I just told you. Right? So therefore, if they want to know the value of x for which the function is undefined, what I need to do, I need to take the bottom part of it, right, and put it equal to 0 for the function to be undefined, right? Because look at this. Anything over 0 is undefined. So, value of x for which f of x is undefined, right, is when x minus 1 is equal to 0, and therefore x is equal to 1, right? So my answer is this. When x is equal to 1, the function is undefined, because when I substitute 1 into that equation, I'm going to end up with something divided by 0, right? So make sure you know what that term means. Once I say the value of x for which the function is undefined, we need to put the denominator equal to 0 and solve for x. That is what we're doing, right? Now, let's go back to this here now, the last part of the question. This part here. They want to know the value of x for which g of x is equal to 12, right? So g of x is this. So g of x is equal to that, and the question is asking for the value of x for which g of x equals 0, right? Now, for some strange reason, some of my Form 5 students, they have a problem with this particular question, right? So the question asks us, what is the value of x for which g of x is equal to 12? The thing is, you know what g of x is. G of x is equal to 5x plus 2, right? And they are telling us in the question that g of x is equal to 12. So what we need to do, we need to say 5x plus 2, which is the function, is equal to 12, right? Because g of x is equal to this and g of x is equal to 12. So therefore 5x plus 2 is equal to 12. So therefore 5x is equal to 12 minus 2. Therefore 5x is equal to 10, and therefore x is equal to 10 over 5. Therefore x is equal to 2. So this is our answer. When x equal 2, g of x is equal to 12. Alright? So these were the last things that I needed to show you all in functions. Alright? So let's look at our next question here. So again, we have two functions. Now I'm going to give you all a chance to work on these. So for part A, so we have two functions. This is one, this is our next function here. Alright? So the first part I want you all to work out. What is f of 4? Right? So just type your answer in the chat for me, please, when you get it. So I've seen some answers coming in. I've seen 3/4, I see 1. I did Danica change it to 3/4 now. Cherie saying 3/4. Alright, well, looks like the answer maybe 3/4. Let me check it. So we want to substitute we want to substitute 4 into this expression here. So we want to find f of 4. F of 4 is simply 4 plus 2 all over 3 multiplied by 4 minus 4. Alright, so this is 4 and 2, 6 divided by 12 minus 4, which is 6 over 8, which is equal to 3/4. Alright, so the answer is 3/4 for the first part. Now, the second part now, I want you all to attempt the second part. We want to find the inverse of that function, right? Follow the steps that I just did, but we want to find the inverse of the function. You know what? Let me give you all a hand with this one. Next thing you all get a little confused, right? Just keep in mind when you work in this particular question, your answer could look slightly different, right? When I say look slightly different, I know some of you all working it right now, and if I work it, you might get something slightly different than I would get, right? I'll show you what I mean. So if we go through the steps, like we said, the first step, step 1, right? My first step was to let y equal to the function. So we're gonna say let y equal to x plus 2 all over 3x minus 4. That's my first step, right? My second step is to interchange x and y. That means that anywhere we see x, we're gonna put y, and anywhere you see y, you're gonna put x. So this is x is equal to y plus 2 over 3y minus 4, right? Now the thing is, because you want to simplify this and you want to make y the subject, what I will do is I will put this as x over 1, right? Because any number divided by 1 will give you that same number, right? So x over 1 is the same as x. That's all. I'm not doing anything confusing there. And the next step is to cross multiply, right? So when you cross multiply, you're going to get x multiplied by 3y minus 4 is equal to y plus 2, right? That's just cross multiply. Now, what we're going to do now is to remove the brackets. You need to use the distributive law to multiply out the brackets here. So x multiplied by 3y will give me 3xy minus 4x is equal to y plus 2, right? So we're still making y the subject of the formula. So carry all your variables that have y in it on the left hand side. So this will be 3xy minus 4x right? So when I carry everything across, it'll be 3xy minus y is equal to 2 plus 4x, right? Now, this is where we have to factorize. So we're going to pull out the y, and you're going to end up with 3x minus 1 is equal to 2 plus 4x. So therefore y is equal to 2 plus 4x all over 3x minus 1, right? And my final step, my third step, is to come and write f inverse of x is equal to 2 plus 4x over 3x minus 1, right? So this is what my inverse function looks like, right? Just let me know if you all get something looking like that. Alright, so I'm seeing Ricardo got that answer. Alright, so I'm seeing some of you all got this answer, but let me show you something slightly different that could have happened, right? Now, let's say one second. So let me do a different scenario here, right? What some students somebody would have gotten slightly different answer, but it's the same thing. So look at this. If instead, at this stage here, right, this stage here, a student did this. They came and they said, all right, well, let's leave the x's on the left side. So minus 4x minus 2 is equal to y minus 3xy, right? A student could do that. That's a valid way you could work the question. 4x minus 2 is equal to, and they factorize it like this, y into 1 minus 3x, right? And they did that. And then they put their final answers, minus 4x minus 2 all over 1 minus 3x is equal to y. And then the student came and they said f inverse of x is equal to minus 4x minus 2 all over 1 minus 3x, right? So I am telling you from now that this answer is also correct and this is also correct. When you have questions like this here, your answer may look slightly different, but these are the two possible answers, right? Because all you're really doing is multiplying one of your answer by minus 1. If you look at it carefully, right, all we're doing here to get that answer is taking this whole thing and multiplying every single term by minus 1. So if you multiply the 2 by minus 1, you'll get minus 2. You multiply the 4x by minus 1, you get minus 4x. And the same thing at the bottom. So both these answers are correct, right? So keep that in mind. So if you are working a question and you get an answer and your friend next to you gets something slightly different, this could be why, right? So let's look at the next part now. They want us to find the value of x for which the function is undefined, right? So they want to know the value of x for which the function is undefined. So I think I saw somebody answered it already. If they want the value of x for which the function is undefined, we need to put the denominator equal to 0. So we need to put 3x minus 4 equal to 0. Therefore 3x is equal to 4, and therefore x is equal to 4 over 3. So this is the value of x for which f of x is undefined. Right? So that's typically a 1-mark question in the exam. Just make sure you understand what it means, right? And the last part of the question, they want to know so we have g of x is this, and the question is asking so the question is asking the value of x for which g of x equal to 11, right? Now, just like in the previous question, you have g of x equal to 3x plus 2. And they are saying, but g of x is equal to 11. So therefore, all we need to do is to put 3x plus 2 equal 11. Therefore, 3x equal 11 minus 2. Therefore, 3x is equal to 9. And therefore x is equal to 9 over 3, and therefore x is equal to 3, right? So please, when you have a question like this is how you write the statement to work this question. I have some Form 5 students, they know how to work the question, but their statements leave much to be desired, okay? So, are we all okay? Alright, so we're good there. Now this is the May 2019 paper. One second. So basically tired. Well, we don't know what's going on with the exam. I know the Cambridge International exams, they've called it off. Not sure what they're going to do with CXC as yet, but we'll see. All right, so let's start looking at some questions now, right? So this question is from the May 2019 paper, right? May 2019. So they've given us two functions, right? We have a function g of x, f of x, sorry, a function f of x, and you have a function g of x, right? And the question is asking, state a value for x which cannot be in the domain for f. Can anybody tell me how we're going to work that, or what you think the answer is? So I'm not seeing any responses. So I don't know if if you all have no clue what they're talking about. Rochelle, you may have to refresh your page if it's anything. Alright, so I'm seeing some people, they're not sure what the question is asking. So here's what's going on. Now, when you have a function, right? When you have a function, what goes into the function is what we call the domain. Right? That's what we spoke about last week. So the domain are the values we put into the function, and then what comes out of the function is what we call my range. Right? So every value in the domain, So like a domain could be something like this: 1, 2, 3, right? That could be my domain, and I'm gonna put it inside the function. When I put it into the function, I'm gonna get some numbers coming out. So the numbers could be 2, 4, 6, right? Depending on what the function is doing, whatever the function is doing, right? So my domain is what we put into the function, and my range is what comes out of the function. Now, the question is saying state the value of x that cannot be in the domain, right? So the domain, so what they're trying to say is for this function here, there's a value which cannot be in that domain. Now, the function is f of x is equal to 9 over 2x plus 1, right? So what they're really trying to ask you then, smart, they want you to think about it, is what value of x for which the function is undefined, right? That's what they're really asking you. What value of x makes the function undefined? That's what the question is really asking. So what we need to do, we need to put the denominator equal to 0. So we need to put this 2x plus 1 equal to 0. So therefore 2x is equal to minus 1, and therefore x is equal to minus a half, right? So based on how the questions are coming now in the exam, it requires a little more thinking. They are not asking straightforward questions anymore, right? So the value which cannot be in the domain has to be the value that makes the function undefined, right? That's what the question is asking in SMART. Now, the next part, they want us to find the composite function fg of x, right? That's what they want us to find. So I'll give you all a minute or two to give me what the function f of g is. Alright, so I'm seeing some answers for the inverse function. Daryl, I feel you need to simplify the bottom part of your answer. So the question wants f g of x. That's the question. That's what they want, right? This is what we call a composite function. Now, what I need you all to remember is when we are talking about a composite function, we are taking this and we are substituting into that. That's how we do it. So if they want the composite function fg of x, I'm going to take whatever g of x is and I'm going to plug it into the next function. So you see this value here, x minus 3. I'm going to take that and I'm going to substitute it for x into this here. So therefore fg of x is going to be 9 all over 2 multiplied by x minus 3 plus 1, but I need to simplify the bottom. So this is 9 over 2x minus 6 plus 1, which is equal to 9 over 2x minus 5. Right? So seeing some of you all got that as the answer. That's great. So there's an actual paper, right? This is from the May 2019 paper, right? So the first part may have been a little tricky, but this part is easier. The next part now, they want us to find the inverse of the function, right? They want us to find the inverse of the function. So they want f inverse. Alright? So, if you have 2 minutes, let me see what you come up with before I give you the answer. Alright, so I'm just waiting to at least see one answer before I work it out for the inverse. Alright, so I'm seeing an answer there. The 9 over 2y minus 1. But the only problem is, remember your inverse function should have x in it, not y. So let's check this out. So this is the function here. This is f of x, and I want to find the inverse of that. So my first step, remember we need to follow these steps, right? First step is to let y, so we're going to let y equal to 9 over 2x plus 1. That's my first step. Then we have a second step. Second step is to interchange x and y. So anywhere we see x, we're going to put y, and anywhere we see x, y, we're going to put x. So let me use a different color here. So x, right, is equal to, let's go 9 over 2 y plus 1, right? So I'm interchanging x and y. But what I should do is write the x as x over 1, and then I shall cross multiply. So this will become x multiplied by 2y plus 1 is equal to 9, right? Now remember, the objective is to make y the subject of the formula. So I need to remove this bracket here, right? So this becomes 2xy plus x is equal to 9. Therefore, 2xy is equal to 9 minus x. And therefore, y is equal to 9 minus x all over 2x. So therefore my inverse function, f inverse, will be equal to 9 minus x all over 2x. Alright, just now, it seems people get different things. Let me just double check, make sure I didn't make a mistake. So y is equal to 9 over 2x plus 1. X is equal to 9 over 2y plus 1. So, anybody got the answer that I got? Oh, okay, right. So yeah, Ricardo, I see. Cool. Right. So we didn't need to factorize for this one, right? So let me go over the steps again. So the first step, like I said, is to let y equal to whatever the function is, right? That's my first step. This is the first step. You have to do this, right? That's my first step. Then my next step is to interchange x and y. So anywhere we see y, we're going to put x, and anywhere you see x, you're going to put y. So notice what I've done here. I have replaced or swapped x and y. That's what you're doing, right? So notice where this is and notice where this is. I've swapped x and y. And then in order to simplify or to make y the subject of the formula, what I've done is I have cross multiplied. When you cross multiply, right, you're going to get this. And the next step is to make y the subject of the formula. You only have one term that has y in it. And because you only have one term that has y in it, there's no need to factorize anything, right? So the question is much easier than some of you all actually thought it was, right? So this is how we get the inverse of the function, right? Did they have a next piece? Well, that's it. That's all they asked in the May 2019 paper, right? Now, let's move on to our next paper. Let's see what you all do for this one. Actually, hold up. Let me come back to that one. 2018, I'll come back to that. Let's do the May 2017 paper. Alright? So they've given us one function, that's f of x, is equal to 1/3 x minus 2. And they want you to work out the first part. Now, I want you all to work out the first part for me and give me an answer. Alright? I'll give you 2 minutes. Let's try to work out the first part. They're asking us to find the value of f of 3 plus f of minus 3. So please work f of 3 first, work out f of minus 3, and then add those two answers. That's what we do. Alright, so I was saying some of you all have, well, most of you all have -4. Let me work it out. So the first thing we need to work out f of 3. Right? Now please be careful how you're writing your answers. So f of 3 is equal to 1/3 multiplied by 3 minus 2, which is equal to 1/3 by 1 by 3 gives me 1. 1 minus 2 is -1. Then we need to work out f of -3, which is equal to 1/3 multiplied by -3 minus 2, which is equal to -1 minus 2, which is equal to -3. So the question is asking for f of 3 plus f of -3, right, which is equal to -1 plus -3, which is equal to -4. Right? So you all are correct. The answer is -4. So what would have given students trouble here is working with the minus, right? So be careful with those things. So the answer is -4. Now the second part now, the question is asking calculate the value of x for which f of x is equal to 5. Alright? So before I work it, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to work it out. I see Ricardo work it out already. You seem to be real speeding. So Ricardo got x equal 9. He also worked out the inverse as well. Good job. Alright, so I see Ricardo corrected his answer here. Alright, so this is similar to one of the earlier examples I gave you all. They want the value of x for which f of x is equal to 5. So f of x is equal to 5, but f of x is also equal to this whole thing here. So therefore, what you need to do, you need to put 1/3 x minus 2 is equal to 5. Right? That's what we need to do. Now, like I say in class, I don't like to work in fractions, right? So what I would do, I would multiply the entire equation by 3, right? So when I multiply this first term by 3, I'm going to just end up with x minus 6 is equal to 15, right? So therefore x is equal to 15 plus 6, and therefore x is equal to 21, right? So the answer is x equal to 21, right? So I saw some of you all got 21, and the inverse, let's work that one. So f of x equal 1 to x minus 2. So f of x is equal to 1/3 x minus 2. 1/3 x minus 2. Right? That's our function. And the question wants to find f inverse of x, the inverse function. So let's go through these steps. Step 1, we need to let y equal 1/3 x minus 2. That's my first step. My second step, we interchange, right? So interchange x and y. Alright, so that means that x is now equal to 1/3 y minus 2, right? Then what we're going to do, we're going to make y the subject of the formula, right? So third step, make y the subject, right? I'm just writing this here, so y, right? So this is my expression here, this is my equation, sorry. So I can write that as 1/3 y minus 2 is equal to x, right? I can write that because I have x equal 1/3 y minus 2. Now, you want to make y the subject of the formula. Again, what we could do is to multiply the entire equation by 3. And this becomes y minus 6 is equal to 3x. So therefore y is equal to 3x plus 6, right? So therefore, my last step is to write what the inverse is. So the inverse function is simply equal to 3x plus 6. Alright, did you all get that? Just double check, hopefully I didn't make a mistake. It's 1/3 x minus 2, right? So 1/3 y Alright, so just double check, make sure you all getting that for the answer. Yeah, so the answer should be 3x plus 6, right? Ricardo, I'm seeing you saying 3x plus 2. Yeah, but 3x plus 2 is different from 3x plus 6, right? So double check your answer. You may have multiplied wrong somewhere, but the answer is 3x plus 2, right? I believe CXC may have given the answers 3 open brackets x plus 2, right? So you may also have 3 open brackets x plus 2. So you can give your answers this or this. So double check your answers to make sure. Alright, somebody's asking if there's another way instead of multiplying by the 3. Okay. So let's say, alright, so yeah, we didn't have to multiply by the 3. So let me show you an alternative way. So we have 1 over 1/3 y minus 2 is equal to x, right? So we can write 1/3 y is equal to x plus 2. We can do that. Now, 1/3 y is the same as saying y over 3, which is equal to x plus 2. But you want to make y the subject of the formula. So I can write the x plus 2 as x plus 2 over 1. And then what I can do is just cross multiply. And if you cross multiply, you're going to end up with y is equal to 3 multiplied by x plus 2. Right? So you'll get the same answer either way. Right? So therefore y could be equal to 3x plus 6 as well. So you realize we still get the same answer. So however you want to do it, right, the answer is still the same. Right? You stick to what is comfortable with you. I don't like to work in fractions, so that's why I multiply by 3. Alright, so cool. So we okay with this one. Alright? So we're moving through the past papers here. So this one here now is May 2016. May 2016. So they have given us two functions. This question is a little longer. So they've given us two functions. You have f of x is equal to this and g of x is equal to this, right? And they want an expression for each of the following. So the first one we want to know what is the inverse of the function x. F, right? So I'm gonna give you all 2 minutes. This one is pretty straightforward. I want you to find the inverse of the function f. Somebody's asking how do I find 1/3 of the calculator? Right, so what the type of calculator I typically use are those sharp DAL calculators. You can work fractions easily with that. In Trinidad, that will cost you about $100. So I suggest you get a calculator that is able to work fractions for your exam. Alright, so Daryl put an answer there. So we're gonna follow the same steps again. So we have f inverse. We have f of x is equal to 2x minus 7, right? So I'm just gonna fast track the steps here, right? So y equal 2x minus 7. That's my first step. The next step is to interchange x and y. So make sure you all get to this, right? So this is my first step. My second step is to interchange x and y. So this will be x is equal to 2y minus 7. Alright, and my next step now is to make y the subject of the formula. So what we will do, we could say we can say 2y minus 7 is equal to x. Therefore 2y is equal to x plus 7. Therefore y is equal to x plus 7 over 2. Therefore f inverse of x, right, is equal to x plus 7 over 2. So x plus 7 over 2. That is what the inverse is supposed to be. Alright, so seeing you all got that, x plus 7 over 2, great. So I want you all to work out the inverse of g now, right? You want to work out the inverse of g. So g of x is equal to x squared plus 1. So I want you to work out the inverse for me. So let me see. So I see Sharice here. So I want to hear from Emily, Danica. I'm not seeing Chad. I don't know if Chad is in the class right now. Ricardo. Who else? Who else is missing? Yes, Cayman Islands, I'm seeing you here. Alright, so I'm seeing some answers, so let me try to work it here. So my first step, like I said, we're gonna let y equal to whatever. So y is equal to x squared plus 1, right? And then my next step is to interchange my x and y. So when we interchange x and y, we're going to end up with x is equal to y squared plus 1. And then my next step is to make y the subject of the formula. So I can write this as y squared plus 1 is equal to x, right? Therefore y squared is equal to x minus 1, and therefore y is equal to the square root of x minus 1. Right? So therefore the inverse function, so therefore g inverse of x is equal to square root of x minus 1. Alright, so that is the answer for the inverse function, or the inverse of g. Alright, so for those of you who are having a little trouble with the functions, what you could do, because the video is going to be recorded, you all could practice the question again, pause the video, try to work it out first, and then look back at the solution. Alright, now the next part of the question, they want f of g. So let's copy this so I won't forget. So the question wants a composite function, which is that's what the question is asking for, f of g, right? Now, with the composite function, I need you to understand what we are doing. When they say f g of x, what that means is I'm taking g of x and I'm plugging it into the function f, right? So I'm taking g of x. This is g of x here, x squared plus 1. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that whole thing and substitute it for x into this expression, right? That is what it means. So therefore, this is going to be 2 open brackets x squared plus 1 minus 7, right? Which is equal to 2x squared plus 2 minus 7, which is equal to 2x squared. 2 minus 7 is minus 5. So it is 2x squared minus 5, right? So it is 2x squared minus 5. That is what the function f of g is, right? Now this piece here now, they want, right, so this question here may pose a challenge for you, but you already know what this function is. You know what this function is. What this statement is asking here in this question is, what is the inverse of this function you just worked out? It's asking us what is the inverse of this, right? So this is my function here, right? Fg of x. Make sure what it is. So fg. So the question wants us to find fg inverse of x, right? That's what the question is asking for. So we need to find the inverse of this function we just found here. So what we need to do is to say, let y equal 2x squared plus 5 minus 5, sorry, right? So that's our first step. The next step is the interchange. So this becomes x equal 2y squared minus 5. Then our next step is to make y the subject of the formula. So we can write 2y squared minus 5 equal to x, right? And the next step is to basically make y the subject. So this becomes 2y squared is equal to it's equal to x plus 5, right? Therefore y squared is equal to x plus 5 over 2. So therefore y is equal to the square root of x plus 5 over 2. So the square root of x plus 5 over 2, right? So therefore the answer is x plus 5 over 2. So that's the answer for the inverse of the composite function, right? Okay, so what's the next part of the question? The last part is to show. So let me just copy this. So these were original functions, and the question was asking question wants us to show that, right? Now let's see what we know. This function here, we worked this out already. That's the part we just worked out, which is this here. Right? We just worked out that. That's the part we just worked out. So what we can do, we can, on the left hand side here, we can work out this piece here. All we have to do is to plug in 5 into the expression. So therefore fg inverse of 5 is equal to 5 plus 5 over 2, which is equal to 10 over 2, which is equal to square root of 5, right? We don't need to, we could pause there. So what we've done, we worked out the left hand part of the equation and we've gotten the square root of 5. Now, you already worked out what the inverse, what f inverse was and what g inverse was. So f inverse, so let me just get this so I can move it across here. So f inverse was this. We worked out this before. That was one of the first things we worked out in the question. We also worked out what g inverse was. That is this here. Right? So these are things you worked out before, right? Previously. Now, look at what they're asking us to find here on the right hand side. You need to figure out what f inverse of 5 is, right? Using this expression that we already have. So let's do that. So f inverse of 5. So f inverse of 5 is equal to 5 plus 7 over 2, which is equal to 12 over 2, which is equal to 6. Now, because this is a composite function here, this whole thing here is a composite function, the answer you got, which is 6, you need to substitute that into g inverse. So this answer here, I need to plug that into this. Alright? So therefore what you're going to get now, so g inverse of 6, that's what you're doing, is equal to 6 minus 1, and you're going to find the square root, which is equal to square root of 5. So notice this here is my left hand side we just worked out, and this is the right hand side we worked out. So therefore we have proven what they asked us to prove. Alright? So I know it's a little long, but try to follow step by step what we did, because they made you work out the inverses of the function before. So all I'm doing is substituting numbers inside the function. That's all I'm doing. Alright? Alright, if you're not sure what I did for that question, just in the review, just look at the solution again. Alright, it's gonna take some practice in order to get this, right? That's why this whole session is based on looking at the past paper questions, right? So let's move on to our next question here, which is May 2015. So in May 2015, they've given us two functions again. They've given us f of x and g of x. And they want us to find, in the first part, they want us to find g of 5. That's very straightforward. Can you all work out g of 5 for me? Give me an answer. Alright, so seeing Danica got 8, Daryl got 8. Right, I believe the answer is 8. Let's check it. So all we're really doing here is substituting 5 into this expression, right? So if you want to work out g of 5, so g of 5 is simply equal to 5 squared minus 1 over 3, which is 25 minus 1 over 3, which is 24 over 3, which is equal to 8. Alright, so the answer for the first part is 8. So cool, you all are correct. The second part, we want to find an expression for the inverse of f. So we want to get f inverse. So take a 2 minutes and let me see what you all get. That one is straightforward. Alright, so I'm seeing some answers. X minus 2 over 3. Let's see. So we have f of x is equal to 3x plus 2, right? So your first step is to let y equal to, so my first step is to let y equal to 3x plus 2, right? The next thing we're going to do, we're going to interchange x and y. So therefore, what we're going to have is x is equal to 3y plus 2. My next step is going to make y the subject of the formula. So we can write 3y plus 2 is equal to x. So 3y is equal to x minus 2. So y is equal to x minus 2 over 3. So therefore f inverse is equal to x minus 2 over 3. Right? So most of you all got that. So the inverse is x minus 2 over 3. Alright? The last part now might be a little tricky. So they want us to write an expression for gf of x. So this is a composite function gf of x, but they want it written in this format here: x plus a in brackets, x plus b in brackets, where a and b are real numbers, right? So I want you all to try to work out the composite function for me first. If you don't get it in that format, that's fine. I just wanted to get the composite function first of all. So I'll give you 2 minutes. So Ricardo worked it out already. 3x plus 1, x plus 1. So I'll check his answer just now. Alright, so see, Ricardo is the only one who answered. I'm waiting to see somebody else answer before I work the question. Alright, so let's see if I can give you all a hand here. Right? Alright, so they're asking us for a composite function, right? The composite function they want is g f of x, right? That's the function that they want. So what that means is that I'm going to take, make sure you understand this, right? So what you're doing, you're taking the function f and you're plugging it into g. That's the whole concept here. You're right. So what we're doing, we're taking the function f, that is this here. You're going to take this whole thing and you're going to substitute it as x inside this equation, right? That's what that means. So therefore, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have 3x plus 2 squared minus 1 all over 3, right? That's essentially what we have here. Now, this is where the trouble starts now, because we need to expand the top, right? So how are we going to do that? Now, let me show you all something. If we have to multiply two brackets, right? So 3x squared, so I'm going to work this in my working column here, right? 3x plus 2 squared is the same as saying 3x plus 2 multiplied by 3x plus 2, right? That's what we say. Now, when you have to multiply two brackets like this, here's what you need to do. You need to take the first term in the first bracket and multiply by every single thing in the second bracket. So let's do that first. So 3x multiplied by 3x will give me 9x squared. And then 3x by 2x will give me 6x, right? So that's only part we've worked out. Then I have to take the second term in the first bracket, this 2, and multiply by this. And then take this 2 and multiply by this, right? So that is going to give me 2 multiplied by 3x will give me 6x, and then 2 multiplied by 2 gives me 4. So this gives me 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. Is that correct? Yeah, 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. So what I've done here, all I've done is expanded the bracket. So on top, I'm going to have 9x squared plus 12x plus 4 minus 1 all over 3, which will give me 9x squared plus 12x plus 3 all over 3, right? But if you look at something carefully, because we are dividing by 3, 9x squared divided by 3 will give me 3x squared plus 12x divided by 3 will give me 4x, and then 3 divided by 3 will give me plus 1. Alright? So make sure you're following what I'm doing. The first thing I tried to do here was I expanded this brackets. That's what we did across here, right? We expanded this. And then the answer I get now, I'm going to put it back into my equation. So now, if you look carefully now, this expression here is a quadratic because they want us to write it in this format here. So what we need to do, we need to factorize this quadratic, right? So if you attempt to factorize this quadratic, you're going to end up with, this is 3x, this is x, this is 1, this is 1, and you will get, should be plus, this should be plus, right? So 3x plus 1 by x plus 1. 3x plus 1 by x plus 1. Yes, so Ricardo, you were correct, right? So I know this one was a bit tricky, right? Because several things you need to do here. You need to expand the 3x plus 2, and also at the end here you need to be able to factorize this thing here, right? You need to be able to factorize this. Now, for those of you who don't know how to factorize, this is what we're trying to factorize, right? 3x squared plus 4x plus 1, that's what you're trying to factorize. What I taught you all in class, we said we need to find two numbers whose sum is equal to whatever this is. So the sum is 4, and the product is equal to 3, right? So those two numbers would be 1 and 3. So therefore we will write 3x squared plus x plus 3x plus 1. So therefore we factorize by grouping. So this is x multiplied by 3x plus 1 plus 1 by 3x plus 1, and this will be 3x plus 1 by x plus 1. Alright, so this is our foolproof method. If we have any quadratic that we need to factorize, this is the method that we use, right? This method here. So the final answer is actually this, right? I know this one is a little tricky. You all may have to look back at the video and try to understand what was done. Okay. Okay, somebody asked me, what does A and B and R mean? So where A, so they're talking about this variable A, B is the next variable, and they are members. So this symbol here means member, and this R means a member of real numbers, right? In maths we have different types of numbers. We have real numbers, we have imaginary numbers, we have rational numbers, right? So that A and that B, the A in this case here, oh, and actually the problem is there's something wrong with this question actually, because when you factorize it you get 3x plus 1 x plus 1. So this expression itself here is not correct, right? Because if you notice what we got 3x plus 1 by x plus 1, right? But the format they've given us it here, this is incorrect, this is wrong, right? So there's a problem with that part of the question, but the final answer is just this. Okay, so it's the time 6:40. All right, so let's see if we can get our next question inside here. So this one is May 2014. All right, we have two functions. You have g of x and f of x, and they want us to state the value of x, for which the function is f is undefined. Well, by now you all should be able to know how to answer that. Can somebody tell me what the answer is for that? Okay, so Cherie's got 1. How you all getting 1 though? Are you sure about that? Alright, so I see you all changing to -1 now. Remember what you're supposed to do. The value of x for which the function is undefined, we need to put the bottom part, that's this piece here. You need to put that piece equal to 0. So therefore x plus 1 is equal to 0. Therefore x is equal to -1. Right? So the answer for that first part is x equal to -1. Now, the next part now, they want us to calculate the value of gf of 5. Alright? So I'll give you 2 minutes and give me an answer for that one. So I'll give you all a few minutes to work out this piece and this piece, right? Alright, so Sandy see some answers for part 2 and part 3. So Shiri's put up something there. Shiri's, you sure about that answer? Just double check. So since I see you all have given me some answers for part 2, let me just work out part 2. So the question wants G f of 5, right? So what you could do, you need to work out f of 5 first and then plug it into the function G, right? So f of 5 is equal to 2 by 5 plus 7 over 5 plus 1, which is 5 2s are 10 and 7, 17 over 6. Is that correct? 5 2s are 10 and 7, 17. Okay, 17 over 6. And then we're going to take that answer now and we're going to plug that into the function G. So we're going to find G of 17 over 6, right? Which is equal to 4 multiplied by 17 over 6 plus 3, right? So what will that give us? So that's 4 by 17 over 6 plus 3. So that'll give us 43 over 3, or I see somewhere you're 14.3, right? So I think somewhere that's what you all got. Right, so 14.3, that's fine, right? You can leave your answers a fraction, that's okay. So if you had just put 14 over 3, you'd have gotten the mark right here. Now, this one here, we tend to get some answers for that one. So see, Danica give me an answer, 7 minus x over x minus 2. Alright, I'll work it just now. So I'm going to find the inverse of this function, right? So we want to find the inverse, right? So we're going to go through the steps. So the first thing, we're going to let y equal 2x plus 7 over x plus 1. That's the first thing. Next step, we're going to interchange x and y. So interchange x and y, right? So therefore this becomes x equal 2y plus 7 over x, sorry, not x, over y plus 1, right? The next step now, we need to make y the subject of the formula. But anytime you have an expression looking like this, you know we're going to have to factorize at some point. So I'm going to write this x on the left hand side as x over 1, and then we're going to cross multiply. Now your answer is going to be slightly different depending on how you rearrange this, right? So I'm going to cross multiply, and I'm going to get x by y plus 1 is equal to 2y plus 7, right? Then I'm going to remove these brackets here by doing this. I'm going to multiply this way. So this becomes xy plus x is equal to 2y plus 7, right? Now remember, the objective is to make y the subject of the formula. So therefore, if I do this, xy minus 2y is equal to 7 minus x. You're going to factorize on the left hand side because you have two terms in y. So this becomes x minus 2, which is equal to 7 minus x. Therefore, y is equal to 7 minus x all over x minus 2. So therefore, my inverse function is equal to 7 minus x over x minus 2. So 7 minus x over x minus 2. So see, Danica got that. So that's correct. So some of you all, depending on how you rearrange your question, you would have gotten something slightly different, right? So let me show you the alternative. So if from here you all had done it like this, let's say x minus 7 equal 2y minus xy, x minus 7 is equal to y into 2 minus x. Therefore, x minus 7 over 2 minus x is equal to y. So therefore, some of you all may have an answer that looks like this. X minus 7 over 2 minus x, right? So let's know that this answer is correct, this answer is also correct, right? So whichever one you get. So we had a lot more questions that I had planned to do in this class, right? So what I will do, I will tell you what I want you to do for homework for me. So you'll be doing the May 2013 paper, right? You will also be doing the May 2011 paper, so 2013, 2011, and the next one is May 2010, right? So you can go back to the video, pause at those questions, and please do those questions for me, right? So I hope we had a productive session today, all right? You all can review the video, right? Try to practice the questions again, pause the video so that you can look at the answer after, right? Functions is a very easy question if it comes in your exam, right? So you all take it easy, and like Teresa saying, be safe out there, right? So you all take care.